The fake daughter and I became the canaries of the two brothers who were big bosses in the Beijing circle. When I go out to drink sugar water, I can complain about the endless energy of the sponsor every night. Later, his younger brother Bai Yuiguang was about to return to China. Fake daughter, are you running? Me, I can do it, it's up to you. Fake daughter, you run first and I run first? Me, let's go together. As a result, we were caught while escaping that night because we were too conspicuous. The big boss in Beijing sneered angrily. He has Bai Yuiguang, but I don't. Why are you running away? The family went bankrupt, and the fake daughter Wen Yan and I were sent to the Shen family in Beijing to pay off our debts. I followed my brother Shen Huaizhou. She followed her younger brother Shen Shoubai. Life in the Shen family is quite nourishing. The two brothers' attitudes towards us are also surprisingly consistent. The money is not given less every month, and the eyes are not given too much. We were both very happy. Even when I go out to drink sugar water, I can complain about the endless energy that the sponsor exerts every day. But recently, Wen Yan is always absent-minded when he complains. I poked her arm. What's wrong with you? Shen Shoubai didn't let you sleep last night? She came back to her senses and sighed. Shen Shoubai's Bai Yuiguang is back. I said there is no way to complain about this topic. Because at this point, the two brothers are different. Shen Huaizhou has always followed the abstinence route. I heard that before I appeared, there wasn't even a female mosquito around. Shen Shoubai is similar. But I heard that Bai Yuiguang has always been in my heart. Wen Yan continued to sigh. I think I should leave, so as not to bump into Bai Yuiguang. I took a sip of milk tea and said, where are you going? I'm with you. Wen Yan seemed to have suddenly made up his mind. I plan to run away. Will you run away? I did not hesitate. If you run, I will run. In fact, Shen Huaizhou is pretty good to me. But the world is big, and sisters are the biggest. Okay, who cares? Wen Yan's face was filled with relief. Then you run first, or do I run first? I thought for a moment. Let's go together. Although Shen Huaizhou doesn't have any white moonlight. But if the guarantee is not enough, a marriage partner will appear one day. I should really take precautions and take advantage of this opportunity to run away together. Wen Yan immediately agreed. Okay. Let's run together. Next, she roughly arranged the work related to escape. I'm responsible for buying tickets and preparing all the supplies needed for escape, and you're responsible for making plans. She paused. If you don't make plans like before, don't run with me. As she spoke, she folded her fingers together. With a clear threat, I nodded hurriedly. Don't worry, I'll do it when I get back tonight, both PPT and text version. After all, it's different from ordinary travel, so I still have to be more careful. After receiving my assurance, Wen Yan nodded with satisfaction. When we got home that night, we tacitly rejected the sponsor's invitation to have sex. She said she had a stomachache, and I said I was dizzy. Seeing the two benefactors leaving, I jumped out of bed, turned on my computer and started to quickly formulate an escape plan. In the middle of the journey, Shen Huaizhou came back with the medicine, and I quickly ran back to bed and pretended to be dead. He stretched out his hand to touch my forehead and murmured, "Why are you sweating?" He wanted to help me pull down the quilt. I quickly tightened my grip and pretended to be cold. Shen Huaizhou checked the temperature again and found that it had dropped a bit. Then he left with peace of mind. As soon as he closed the door with his front foot, I quickly took out the hot computer from the quilt. My body was covered with heat and I had no time to pay attention. Just turn on the computer and continue writing. In one night, Shen Huaizhou would come to check on me after a while. As soon as he came in, I quickly closed the computer and pretended to sleep. After repeating this process until dawn, I was able to finish writing. I clicked the save button, threw the computer away, and fell into a coma. When he woke up again, Wen Yan was sitting beside the bed. She's a little more haggard than me. Seeing me waking up, he quickly reached out and asked me for my escape plan. I turned on my computer and showed it to her. "By the way," I asked, "why do you look so bad?" Wen Yan swiped the screen and sighed faintly. The idiot Shinshobai saw that I was faking it, so he kept me busy all night long. As she said that, her suppressed anger surged up again. "Grandma, if you don't run away, you will die sooner or later." I was drowsy. She finally finished reading it and sent the plan to her computer. I yawned and asked again, "Are you ready over there? When are you going to run?" Wen Yan's eyes were cold. "I heard that Bai Yueguang will come back in 3 days, and both Shin brothers will attend the welcome banquet. It was just right to run that night." I nodded. "Okay, I'll do whatever you want," she said whenever. When Yan returned the computer to me, "We'll finalize the remaining details while they're away. I'm going back to catch up on my sleep." As soon as she closed the door, I covered myself with the quilt and continued to sleep. I slept until Shen Huaizhou came back. He took off his watch and touched my forehead again. "How are you today? I heard from the servant that you slept all day." His hands were a little cold, and I shivered. "I'm fine." With Wen Yan's lesson in mind, I was afraid that he would see me as pretending to be ill. Shen Huaizhou started to unbutton his clothes again, then go to bed early. I had a shadow of his unbuttoning action. He was so frightened that he stammered, Actually, I'm not recovered yet, let's just sleep well." Shen Huaizhou reacted for 2 seconds and raised his eyebrows. "What are you going to do if you don't sleep well? What else can be done? Just know how to pretend to be garlic." I blushed and covered my head with the quilt again. "Don't do anything, just go to sleep." Shen Huaizhou didn't say anything more. He put his arms around me and quickly fell asleep. After sleeping all day, I stared at the ceiling with my eyes open, but I couldn't fall asleep. His mind was filled with thoughts on how to improve his escape plan. I opened my eyes until dawn, finally feeling a little sleepy. I could only hear the sound of Shen Huaizhou getting up, and I couldn't open my eyes at all. After an unknown amount of time, he leaned over and kissed me on the forehead, and there was no more movement in the room. In order to lower the brothers' vigilance, Wen Yan and I canceled the afternoon tea time where we used to complain. Stay in your room every day and perfect your plan. Finally, the day came for Bai Yueguang to return to China. Early in the morning, Wen Yan found a reason to have a big quarrel with Shinshobai. Then he locked himself in the room and refused to open the door even when I called. Shinshobai believed that she was having a temper and was so angry that she slammed the door and walked out. My eyes fell on Shen Huaizhou, who was drinking tea leisurely on the sofa, and I was secretly worried. "Didn't you say you were going to the welcome banquet? Why doesn't he leave? If we don't leave, we won't be able to catch the plane." I was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. After Shen Huaizhou finally got up, I felt happy and prepared to thoughtfully tell him to be careful on the road. Unexpectedly, Shen Huaizhou glanced at me and frowned. "Why don't you go change clothes?" I was stunned. "Huh?" He glanced at his watch. "Aren't you going to the welcome banquet tonight?" "Of course I won't go." Feeling his gaze, I was so anxious that I held back 2 tears. "I feel a little uncomfortable today, so I won't go." I thought it was enough to talk about it at this point. As a result, Shen Huaizhou paused in putting on his coat, then changed her clothes. "I'll accompany you to the hospital." I was so anxious that my head almost burst into flames. He waved his hands repeatedly. "No, no, no, I don't need to go to the hospital, I just need to sleep for a while." Shen Huaizhou's tone did not allow for rejection. "No, I have been feeling uncomfortable for so many days, I must go for a checkup." I shook my head. "The welcome banquet is very important. You'd better get busy first. We'll check it out when you come back." By the time he comes back, Wen Yan and I should have successfully escaped. Shen Huaizhou didn't accept the call at all. "I'm just an unimportant person. Go check it out first and be obedient." Seeing that he was really about to pull me out, I quickly grabbed the armrest of the sofa beside me. I'm actually lying to you, I don't feel uncomfortable." Shen Huaizhou made it clear that he didn't believe it. The strength in his hand relaxed a little, and his face was a little unhappy. "No matter what you say, you must go for a checkup today." I broke out in a cold sweat. After thinking about it, I grabbed his sleeve and said, "I'm really not uncomfortable. I just want to stay at home and be with Yin Yin. She is very sad today and I'm worried about her." Shen Huaizhou looked at me suspiciously. I continued, "You know, she is one of the most important people to me in this world, and I don't want to leave her alone." Shen Huaizhou probably also remembered the emotional entanglement between Bai Yueguang and Shen Shoubai. He let go of my hand and nodded, "That's okay, you stay with her." I was overjoyed. She rushed over and kissed him on the lips. "You're so kind, drink less wine tonight, bye." Shen Huaizhou grabbed my waist and lowered his head. "She is one of the most important people. Who are the others?" "In fact, there is no one. Wen Yan is my dearest person." But I didn't mind coaxing him to let his guard down. "Of course it's you, just the two of you, no one else." The corners of Shen Huaizhou's mouth rose, glib tongue. He lowered his head and kissed her. My legs were so weak that I could hardly stand. Afraid that he wouldn't be able to control it later, I quickly pushed him and said, "It's almost too late, so hurry up." Only then did Shen Huaizhou let me go. "Don't sleep at night." In order to send him away, I dared to agree to anything. I breathed a sigh of relief as I watched his car disappear into the yard. Take 3 steps at a time and then take 2 steps to go upstairs to find Wen Yan. As soon as I knocked on the door, Wen Yan quickly opened a crack in the door and pulled me in. I looked at the 4 large suitcases in front of me and fell into deep thought. "Are you trying to escape?" Such a cumbersome box would have been caught as a thief before it left Shen's house, right? Wen Yan clapped his hands, completely unaware that anything was wrong. "Yes, take these things away to save us having to spend money on them. After they go out, their cards will definitely not be swiped. Isn't it worth saving a little?" I remained silent. "Forget it, as long as she is happy." We dragged the suitcase downstairs while the servants were having dinner. As a result, there was quite a commotion because the box was too heavy. I had an idea and pretended to be angry. "I buy these things every day, I have to throw them away for you." When our eyes met, Wen Yan understood what I meant instantly. She dragged the box and walked quickly outside. "Stop showing off to me, sister-in-law." "Okay, throw it away." "I'll throw it for you." The servant stared dumbfoundedly at our sisters turning against each other and took a long time to react. I saw the opportunity and walked outside. "Okay, I'll throw it all away for you." We pretended to be quarreling all the way outside the villa. I put the 2 suitcases in my hands next to the trash can and climbed into the car I had arranged with Wen Yan. Wen Yan turned around 3 times. "No, something." I grabbed her and said, "What the hell? Only if you stay there, will they believe that we are really quarreling. Only in this way can we buy time to escape. Otherwise, the clues will be discovered before leaving the villa area." Wen Yan immediately adjusted. "That's right, trash and trashman must be thrown away together." We didn't dare to delay at all, so we unpacked the clothes from our suitcases and changed into them as soon as we entered the airport. I urged her while changing, "Hurry up. We have to go to a few more places before they come back from the banquet." Wen Yan in the cubicle did not respond. I thought she was waiting for me outside, so I packed my clothes and walked out. As soon as he got out of the toilet, he saw Shen Huaizhou standing not far away with a cold expression. I was so scared that my brain shut down on the spot. Before Shen Huaizhou came over, he put on his sweater and hat and ducked away. After just a few steps against the wall, someone grabbed his hat. I shuddered and buried my head lower. No, why did he catch up so fast? Shouldn't we still be drinking and mingling at the banquet at this time? I lowered my head, and Shen Huaizhou reached out and pinched my chin, forcing me to raise my head. He said with a half smile, "You are pretending to be sick and acting like a spoiled brat, and you won't go out with me. Is that what your intention was?" I didn't dare to answer. I didn't dare to look at him. Determined to play dead. Shen Huaizhou took a deep breath and softened his tone. Tell me, why are you running? What made you unhappy? I whispered, I don't know. With my sisters, what other reason is there? Shen Huaizhou repeated, don't know? I felt guilty. If she ran away, I would run away. Anyway, I can't leave Wenyan. Shen Huaizhou was completely annoyed by me. She ran away because my brother has Baiyuaguan, and I don't. Why are you running with her? I dare not say anything. Shen Huaizhou's tone became serious. Speak. I trembled and almost cried. I can't betray my sister. She is going to run away. Why should I stay? Shen Huaizhou didn't expect such an answer from me. He was so angry that his breathing became heavier. It took him a long time to adjust his mood. Go home. I spoke cautiously. Can you return the phone to me first? I haven't seen Wenyan since I came out of the toilet. Shin Shoubai was not seen either. So she should still have a chance to escape. I'm going to send her a message to remind her to change course. Shen Huaizhou glanced at me. Want to tip off someone? I shook my head decisively. No, I'll just check the time. Shen Huaizhou stretched out his wrist in front of me and asked me to look at his watch. Look. A mouthful of old blood choked my throat. I grabbed his hand and put it down. Just use your phone for me, please. Shen Huaizhou put his hand around my waist and said in a cold tone, no need to say anything, she was also arrested. He paused for a moment, stared at me and sneered, the outcome tonight will not be better than yours. I suddenly became anxious. What do you want? It's obvious that your brother doesn't know what's going on with others. Why does he run away every year? Both of you brothers are no good. The more I spoke, the more excited I became, and I saw Shen Huaizhou's expression darken. But the matter has come to this, it is better to let your mouth have some fun before you die. I was full of energy. Why are you staring? If you can, let us go. Shen Huaizhou tightened his strength and came close to my ear. He sneered and said in a voice that only the two of us could hear, I can't let you go, but I can kill you in bed tonight. My face turned pale instantly. He spoke with a trembling voice. I withdraw. I didn't say anything. You were too high-spirited just now, and you forgot that Shen Huaizhou is not a good person. Shen Huaizhou's expression did not change. It's too late. I was tortured by Shen Huaizhou, tossing and turning all night. When I woke up, my voice was so hoarse that I couldn't speak. Holding on to the wall and shaking his legs, he walked tremblingly to Wenyan's room. Her face looked very bad and her eyes were swollen. I took out the bank card hidden in the mezzanine of my pajamas. These are all given to me by Shen Huaizhou. You transfer them to your own account. You run away first this time and don't worry about me. Last night, I tentatively asked Shen Huaizhou why he could find us so quickly. He said it was because the two of us together made the target too conspicuous. In addition, two people who were close to each other suddenly quarreled and ran away from home dragging their suitcases, which made it even more conspicuous. Almost as soon as the servant called to report, he wanted to understand why. When he thought about what I had lied to him about yesterday, he became even more angry. I shook my head and shook the waste out. He looked at Wenyan seriously and said, you run away. When you settle down, I will find a way to get back together with you. Originally, I ran away just because I didn't want to be separated from Wenyan. So when she ran away, I ran away too. But after last night, I made up my mind completely. We can't stay with Shen Huaizhou for long. Wenyan's eyes turned red. She shook her head. I can't run away. Shen Shoubai took away all my documents. I quickly took out some paper to wipe her tears and asked her what was going on. Wenyan sniffed. He said that I have no right to be jealous of Baiyuaguan, and I can only stay by his side in this life. I clenched my fists. Damn scumbag. After thinking about it, I looked into Wenyan's eyes and said, don't worry, I'll help you get the ID. Wenyan couldn't hold it in any longer, so he hugged me and cried loudly. I sighed and patted her back. Wen Yan and I have never had any dispute over the so-called real or fake daughter. Because in the eyes of Wen's parents, both of us are just commodities that can be traded. So when the Wen family's business started to decline, they were already thinking of selling us. Wen Yan and I would rather die than obey. I don't know how many times I was beaten for this. Every time I was beaten, she protected me tightly. During the time we were in the Wen family, we were always dependent on each other. Later, the Wen family went bankrupt and they sent us directly to the Shin family to pay off our debts. We compromised at first just because the Shin brothers were infinitely better than those wretched rich second generations. It is also to find the right opportunity to leave here. Especially when Yen is not doing well now. So no matter what, I have to help her get out of here first. Thinking of this, I opened the closet and started rummaging around. At 11 o'clock in the evening, I planned to enter Shen Huaizhou's study. The light in his study was still on. I leaned against the door and listened for a long time, and found that there was no movement at all. Just as he was about to open the door and go in, Shen Huaizhou's voice came. His voice was a little muffled. Is that one of you are still planning to run away? Shen Shoubai sighed. Yes, we had another big fight last night. I curled my lips and sneered. Shen Huaizhou seemed to chuckle, and I'll be faster too. The brothers made it clear that they wanted to talk all night long. The plan couldn't be carried out. I stood up straight and planned to go back to the room. As a result, as soon as he turned around, the door was forcefully pulled open from the inside. Shen Shoubai's eyes fell on me, and his ears suddenly turned red. He turned around quickly and stammered a greeting, sister-in-law. After saying that, without waiting for my answer, he faced the wall and left quickly. Shen Huaizhou walked out quickly and put his coat on me. There was no discernible emotion or anger in the voice. You are dressed like this at night. What do you want to do? My face was red and hot. Shen Huaizhou asked, huh? His voice rose at the end, making people's hearts bitch. I was so angry that I pushed him to the corner and kissed him directly. Shen Huaizhou usually does the seduction, and I have no experience at all. After 2 kisses, I didn't know what to do. Shen Huaizhou pinched my waist and kept some distance from me. Change your strategy? At this point, I simply squeezed out a few tears and said, Yan Yan has been in a very bad mood these 2 days and is in a very bad state. Can you return the certificate to us and let me go out with her to relax? This sentence is just a test, so you can retreat to the next best thing later. I didn't expect Shen Huaizhou to agree. Shen Huaizhou's eyes suddenly became clear, and his voice became much colder. Then you pretended to have an accident during the trip and never come back again, right? I was surprised and a little guilty at the same time. Exactly the same as my plan. But I can't admit it. I shook my head like a rattle. No. I didn't plan to do that, I just wanted to relax. Shen Huaizhou snorted coldly, not believing a word of it. I glanced at his expression and continued, if you are worried, let her go alone, I won't go. Shen Huaizhou accurately predicted, well, if you don't go, you can find a way to escape after she settles down. My back molars clenched. Did he put surveillance on me? Can you guess this? I scolded him 800 times in my mind, but I still refused to admit it on my face. No. I definitely don't have such thoughts. If I run away, it's up to you to do whatever you want. Anyway, the immediate goal is just to let Wen Yan escape successfully. Now, of course, whatever is good to say is heard. Shen Huaizhou did not continue. He looked at my dress up and down. So you are dedicating yourself to my sisters tonight to seduce me? I gathered my coat unnaturally. Shen Huaizhou sneered again. There was an inexplicable sinister tone in his words. She is important to you.